The views and opinions in this program are not necessarily the views and opinions of Columbia Access Television or Stevens College. Hi, I'm Pam Forbes, and in the fall of 2014, I filmed the Mo Music radio show with host John Lofton at KOPN.
All right, listen to KOPN Columbia, and I got TJ Weeler live in the studio. He's a musician and educator. He's been involved with the Roots and Blues and Barbecue Foundation's Blues in the Schools program since 2007. Mr. Weeler has been interested in blues education since the mid-70s and developed the Hope Heroes and Blues Project in 1989. The project spread the message of accepting diversity with Wheeler's workshops and performances in schools, libraries, reform schools, and nursing homes. Over 500,000 students throughout the country have participated in Hope, Heroes, and Blues, winning accolades from Blues Review Magazine, Teaching Tolerance Magazine, and the Boston Globe. Here's TJ Weeler on KOPN Columbia. Featured artist at the Roots and Blues and Barbecue Festival yesterday and today. He goes on stage at the Missouri Lottery Stage at 12:45 p.m. Mr. TJ Weeler, welcome to KOPN Columbia, Missouri.
So nice to be back with you. All right.
Thank you for getting up so early. This is live, folks, in studio at 6 a.m.
Yep, getting here about 5:30 in the morning.
All right, we're gonna put the blues out. I like your concept, TJ, about going. You can't change a lot of attitudes, I don't think, of, for lack of better words, older attitudes.
Yes.
But you sure can go into the school and change. A new generation will bring diversity. That'd be how I'd want to say it. And
well, basically, I was very lucky as a young adult. I was able to mentor with a lot of wonderful people and just hang out in general with the likes of people like the late Booker White, his neighbor from up the street on Mosby Street in Memphis, Tennessee, Furry Lewis, number of other great bluesmen as well as jazz musicians, and they never really asked anything in return from me. Fortunately, at the time, especially down in those early years, didn't have much to give except my ears and trying to absorb as much knowledge as I could from them. The only thing they really asked of me was to try to play it, absorb it, add my own twists and turns and spin on it, and then give it back, especially to young people, and make sure they realize where it come from, and to realize that that promise I made to them. The best way I could think of doing it was create the program Hope Heroes in the Blues and bring it into schools. And that program not only tries to continue on with that legacy of folk blues, jazz, swing, and related roots music, but it also tries to negate a lot of the negative stereotypes that have over the generations been attached not only to the African American blues music, but really to African American culture in general. And once again, the best place to get those stereotypes dissolved and replaced with something positive is in schools.
all right. Siegen, Germany, Kies, Germany, Gilroy, California, New Community. Here's TJ Weeler.
All right. Well, speaking of schools, I think I'll do a song that I wrote with the first school that I did in Columbia, which was Grant School under the direction of music specialist Pam Sisson, Mr. Steelman's class. We wrote a song about a great Kansas City, Missourian, jazz, blues, and the originator of bebop music, Mr. Charlie Parker. Sometimes you'll be confused about the Joe Jones through his symbol at Charlie Parker's shoes. Those people laugh, Yonder knew what he had to do. I said he stayed in what you did to be out in low. Said in the what you did to be out in low. Say in the what you did to be out in low and through.
There's a little bit of TJ Weeler right there, folks. There's one voice and one instrument, that's all, live in the studio. Mr. TJ Weeler will be on the Missouri Lottery stage today at 12:45 p.m., just right afternoon, at the Roots and Blues and Barbecue Festival. If you get a chance, go by and listen to him live. Live is always better than recorded. And let him know you heard him on community-supported KOPN Georgia. Columbia, St. Catherine, Ontario, Canada, Lynn, Massachusetts. Thank you so much for joining us on the streaming on the web out to you. Gilroy, California, Germany, of course. You're your regulars. Thank you. This is an international broadcast. Mr. Weeler has been working since about 2007 with Hope, Heroes, and Blues. Throughout the country, over 500,000 students have been influenced by Mr. Wheeler's work, Hope, Heroes, and Blues Project. And I'm just glad to have him in the studio. This is live, folks. So,
Thank you.
This is a treat, and I gave up an hour of the Mo Music Radio show because I couldn't have Mr. Weeler on here. He's from Hampton Falls, New Hampshire. But I gave up an hour to have the legend in here with us. And he's very supportive of our local schools here in Columbia and mid-Missouri, and just thanks to him.
Yesterday at the Blues in the School program at the Columbia Roots Blues and Barbecue Festival, on the amphitheater stage, we had students, approximately about 200 students perform, and I had been to each of their schools. And just in the last 3 weeks, I had done 1 week residencies at 3 of them, getting the students ready for the performance yesterday. And when I do a residency, I usually spend the majority of the day with all the students, just not the group that's going to perform with me. But I try to get at least one rehearsal in a day with them as well. So we had students from West Boulevard Elementary School, West Middle School, and Grant School all have core teams that I worked with directly for week-long residencies. And then schools that I worked at before included Benton Elementary and Rockridge Elementary, and they brought their choral groups and sang too. So it was like well over 2 hours of uninterrupted, steady Blues in Schools, which, as far as I know, is the largest gathering of students coming out of a Blues in the School program and performing for a wonderful crowd, as it was. 2007 was when I started the program in Columbia for the Roots and Blues Festival, but I've been doing programs here in the greater Columbia, Jeff City area for about 3 years before that with the Missouri Blues Association, thanks to the president, Joyce Harkins at that time. And I started doing blues in the schools when I was 19, so that was about a little earlier than 2007, just slightly though, being 62 now. So I think that was around 1971 or something like that I started doing Blues in the Schools. Here's another song that Blues in the Schools wrote. This was with a special needs school in New Hampshire, and we decided we usually write our songs collaboratively. And there was about 10 kids participating in this one, and we decided to write a song about the great Nelson Mandela, who had passed away only about 2 months before that residency. It's called Long Walk to Freedom. freedom, but it starts with a single step. Now it's a long walk to freedom, but it starts with a single step. If you're gonna take a journey, you gotta do the prayer. Now don't forget the sacrifices my people made for you and me. Over 24 years in prison before we all could be set free. It's like amazing grace. We were blind, but now we see. You know he parted troubled water, he parted hate. 'Cause when you break down that word, it means nothing but apartheid. Mud people paved the way for black and white to collaborate. Free, he faced his people, one country but two nations. When freedom bring revenge, what revenge bring annihilation. Survival for both men, it can only be healed by reconciliation. 'Cause it's a long walk to freedom, from being a prisoner to president. Long walk to freedom, from prisoner to president. Let's not forget his memory, Madiba's life, a life well spent. I said it. He parted troubled water, he parted hate. When you tear down that word, break it up, there ain't nothing but apartheid. Madiba paved the way, but our highway still lies ahead. Madiba paved our way, but the highway still lies ahead. He paved the way, Nelson Mandela, but the highway still lies ahead. Still lies ahead. All right, you're listening to the smooth blues sound of Roots and Blues and Barbecue and Music Festival featured artist TJ Weeler from Hampton Falls, New Hampshire. And TJ, I've got to ask you one thing for sure. I love it. I love it. The questions.
Your guitar's different. It's got 7 strings, not 6, not 12, 7.
7.
Tell me about that.
Well, as far as jazz and blues goes, especially in the jazz idiom in America, 7-string guitar, as far as I know, goes back to brilliant George Van Effs, followed by the great Bucky Pizzarella. Those are the two most famous names in 7-string guitar and jazz that I know of. Never ever saw myself as a 7-string guitar player because I've always been befuddled enough with 6 strings. You know, sometimes befuddled enough with 1 string. You know, let alone 7. But regardless, I saw Bucky about close to 10 years ago with a couple of other 7-string guitar players, and I just had such a good time listening to them. I went out and got myself one, and through the Eastman Guitar Company, I was able to get an endorsement deal. So thanks to them, I have a 7-string archtop Eastman jazz guitar, and with my finger picking style, and which grew out of the country blues of Ferry Lewis and Booker White, previously mentioned, and especially one of my really most permeating influences, Mississippi John Hurt. I've been doing a lot of ragtime stride guitar picking, but I started doing guitar players that style, fingerstyle guitar, often throughout history have emulated piano players, the ragtime players, of course. First emulating the right here from Missouri, Sedalia, Scott Joplin, and Columbia's own Blind Boone, of course. I do have, especially since this is going out to Germany and so many other places, I really want blues scholars to really think and start to popularize the legacy of the importance of Missouri blues and jazz, as well as rock and roll for that matter, let alone bluegrass and old-time music, all this music being related back to the blues, of course, because a lot of times we talk about Mississippi, Texas, Louisiana, New York, Chicago, on and on, but too often the legacy of Missouri musicians has been undervalued. So anyhow, that's why I have 7 strings on this old guitar.
Can I touch on something else?
Yes.
Is it okay to talk about some of the awards and accolades that you've got through the years?
What would you like
Tell me
to know?
Tell me about the Lifetime Achievement Award from the Jersey Shore Jazz and Blues Foundation.
Okay, yeah, that's a wonderful organization that I've been working with, doing blues in the schools for roughly about 12 years, and yeah, it's fairly close to New Hampshire from me. It's about a 200-mile trip, and like many other places I go to, as you mentioned, I go to a plethora of different types of schools, from public schools, a lot of inner city schools. I like to get to, even in reform schools, as well as prisons and other types of institutions for adults as well. And with the Jersey Shore people, they've made sure that they try to bring that to fruition as much as possible. I've done prisons there, reform schools, as well as I also like bringing this music to nursing homes, which I don't talk about too much, but I figured since that generation that's in nursing homes, especially that generation when I started doing my programs well over 35 years ago, some of them were still of the generation of the blues, especially when I was doing like nursing homes in the Deep South. Occasionally I'd come across sidemen of Elmore James or women singers that had shared stages with Bessie Smith or Ma Rainey and stuff like that, let alone audiences that remembered directly Blind Willie McDowell playing in the streets of Atlanta, Georgia. So it was really a treat for me. Hopefully it was a treat for them too.
Okay, there's 2 more I want to mention real quick.
Okay.
This one's a special one. Paul Robeson Diversity Commemoration Award from where? The United States Post Office.
Yeah, that was kind of a interesting story. I was definitely honored with the Paul Robeson Award. Paul Robeson is a hero to me, not only as a musician that crossed cultural lines. Back then, blues musicians were, I should say, African American musicians were supposed to stay in their place, right? And their place meaning strictly what was noted as race music. Whether it was blues or jazz, or swing, country blues, it was all lumped into one thing called race music. But not only could Paul Robeson do that when he cared to, but he, of course, was a wonderful classical singer. But he had his green card revoked and his passport lifted because, not a green card, his passport, he wasn't American, but they removed his passport because of his activism for the rights of everybody, especially African Americans. And so I felt it very ironic that America, the government did give me that award, since the government had also revoked his passport and tried to destroy his professional life. But nothing could stop Paul Robeson.
All right, I got one more for you.
Yes.
Anybody that's a blues musician, artist, loves the blues, they'll know this name, the W.C. Handy.
Oh, yeah.
Keeping the Blues Alive Award in Education. How about that one? That's Memphis.
Yes, I received that one. I was the first, they tell me I was the first individual to receive that Keeping the Blues Alive Award in the field of education with, now they refer to themselves as the International Blues Foundation. But starting out for at least the first decade, over a decade, they were known as the W.C. Handy Blues Foundation, and very much honored that organization has helped me immensely. How about a W.C. Handy song?
Take it away, TJ Weeler.
That evening sun go down. You know I hate to see the evening sun go down. It makes me think our lives go around. Now if I feel tomorrow like I feel you, feel the day, if I feel tomorrow, baby, like I feel today, I'm gonna pack my suitcase, make my getaway. Same little woman with a diamond rings needs a man of mine on the stream. Not if it wasn't for the power of a store-bought hair. You know a man she loving, he wanna be nowhere. I got to say it good, I'm doing blue as I can be. Got a heart like a rock tossed in the sea. And she wanna be so far from me.
be right back after this. All right, we're back with TJ Weeler, who will be on the Missouri Lottery Stage 1245 just after noon today at the Roots and Blues and Barbecue Festival. And TJ, you've got a new kind of instrument. Could you describe it for radio? Or
Sure.
hold it up to the mic and let the people look.
Yes, sure.
go.
They're holding it up to the mic. Yes, this is a new, very, very old instrument. And this is the diddly bow, the one-stringed instrument of the blues that so many of the older blues guitarists, but actually going well into being handed down, well, still to this very day, but especially well within the 60s. I know this is my 50th year of trying to play the guitar, and I was first inspired by the Beatles. But even in 1964, if I'd been of color living in Mississippi, or a lot of places for that matter, my parents might not have had the ease and the economic opportunity due to continuing Jim Crow laws and segregation to have that ease to buy me a guitar. But I'm sure they would have made sure I had an instrument. It very well could have been a diddly bow. But the diddly bow actually goes all the way back to Africa. I've seen them in Africa when I've been there to do programs, and I've also seen them in the most African place outside of the continent of Africa itself, which is Salvador Bahia in Brazil. I ran into quite a few diddly bow players there too. And it's you play it with a slide, and you get some cool sounds as you slide up. If you listen carefully, listeners, you'll also hear an overtone going, polarizing in the opposite direction. Wait, let me try to hit. Or if I go high-low, you get the opposite of that. So, guitarists would have a hard time getting that effect on a 6-string guitar unless they used an arsenal of foot pedals and echoes and digital effects. But it's all part of just the natural diddly bow. The kids like it because it can get a special effect. And the diddly bow, like to give a shout out to all your listeners and just tell everybody, hello. Yeah, what do you got? Anything else to say, diddly bow, to everybody? How about all those folks over in Germany? Would you like to go to Germany? Or maybe they could contact you or meet you. I know that would be great. Maybe we could do some blues in the schools over there. I think it would be nice. Yes, I do. All right, well, let's try to do that. Anybody in Germany listening? Give us a call. That's right, diddly bow. Well, I went to New Orleans, found a blues man named Dave Stovall. I went to New Orleans, found a blues man named Dave Stovall. They took me under his wing, and that ain't all. Played on the streets with his national steel. Played on the streets, Jackson Square. Yeah, with his national steel. Afterwards, he took me to Buster's for a meal. He got my red beans cooking. He got my red beans cooking. He got my red beans and rice. And everything nice. He got my red beans cooking and that cooking air for singing. cooking. Got my red beans, got my red beans right. And red beans are nicely, rashly yours.
All right, Mr. TJ Weeler from Hampton Falls, New Hampshire, be on the Missouri Lottery stage, 12:45 p.m. today. And check him out. Go by and say hi and tell him you heard him on community-supported radio KOPN Columbia. TJ, I don't know how you got so many different sounds. One string, folks.
One string, one slide, one string.
Yeah.
50 years.
I don't know.
Well, 50 years just for me. But since I started playing the guitar, but the diddly bow, like I said, goes all the way back to Africa, as does the banjo. A lot of people, especially from states like Missouri or Virginia or Tennessee, where the banjo is so influential, just kind of think that it came out of old-time bluegrass. Well, that's somewhat an old-timey music, but you know, in reality, let's do a reality check there, musicians. It came from Africa.
The last show, last Sunday, I had an artist that played an upright harp, like Harpo Marx.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even keep 6 strings in tune.
Oh, yeah.
She had, I don't know how many strings. You got one, and you got more out of that one string than I usually do.
Well, thank you. Well, I think I'll start building back. We started with 7 strings. We went down to 1 string. So we'll start regrouping, and we'll go to 4 strings of the tenor ukulele. And here's a little swing for you. Seek your fortune, mama, all over town. Just make sure that your umbrella is upside down. Tree will fall, a pocket full of sunshine and flowers. 'Cause if you want the things you love, you must have showers. When you hear that thunder, don't hide under the tree here. That he pins from heaven for you and me. of the date. It is from heaven. You're gonna seek your fortune. Yes, you will. All over downtown Columbia, Broadway town. Make sure your umbrella is upside down. Trailer for a pocket full. Go ahead. See if I can. Sunshine and flowers. If you want the things you love, you must have showers. When you hear that thunder, don't hide under the trees. There'll be pennies from heaven for you. Pennies from heaven for more. Pennies from heaven for you and me.
TJ Weeler from Hampton Falls, New Hampshire, featured artist, 12:45 p.m. today at the Roots and Blues and Barbecue Music Festival on the Missouri Laundry Stage. That was great, TJ. I always loved the ukulele and the sounds you can get out of that. That's great.
I love the uke. It's, to me, it's definitely the happiest instrument ever created, you know. And if I didn't know as much about Hawaiian history, I'd say it would be impossible to play the blues on it. But since I do know about Hawaiian history, yes, it's almost more like New Orleans. Like New Orleans had a similar history, as well as African Americans in general, to Hawaiians, their history. And but in New Orleans, like, have you ever noticed that no matter what they came through, opposed to the deeper, darker blues out of Mississippi or Texas, and something for in New Orleans always has a beat that's always infectious. You know, it always keeps you going. And so to me, it's a lot like that in a lot of Hawaiian music too. But if you go deeper, it's there.
All right, we got about 9 more minutes. I want you to play right up to the top of the hour, 7 o'clock, when Ragtime with Joy comes on. So you've been with me an hour, and I'm very thankful, and the listeners are happy, and more people are chiming in on the web. And give us some more.
Well, I'll try to see if I can squeeze. I'll see if I can squeeze 2 more numbers in here. A song, once again written by the students right here from Columbia, Mississippi. Columbia, Mississippi. What state am I in? A state of mind. My own state of mind, obviously.
We know what you mean.
Yeah, Columbia, Missouri. It's called Freedom is a Slippery Slope. Now, everybody in America and everybody else across the world, make sure you exercise your right to vote. This 50th year is not only my personal jubilee of playing the guitar, or anniversary of the Beatles, far more importantly, this is the anniversary of Mississippi Freedom Summer. People lost their lives trying to help African Americans register to vote. Well, freedom is a slippery slope. Freedom is a slippery slope. Freedom, you must have hope. I said freedom is a slippery slide. Sometimes you gotta ride the ride. Because voting, that's what keeps people hoping. We can't lose the rights from our hard-fought fight. Sister Rosa rode the bus or to give up her seat. Now it's up to you and me and everybody we need for the freedom riders. Ride, freedom, ride. I'm a freedom fighter. Ride, freedom, ride. I also have a dream. Ride, watch your step. You could be judged by the same thing still. Everyone can dream, everyone can hope, but we all have to travel up the slippery slope. Now listen to this. Doesn't matter your age, you can free the bird from the cage. We have to fulfill the dream, no matter how hard it seems. How hard it seems. Fulfill the dream. Fulfill the ride, freedom ride. Fulfill the ride, freedom ride. So everybody sing ride, freedom ride. Ride, freedom ride. Ride, freedom ride. Ride, freedom ride. And in closing, I'd like to dedicate this song to another famous Missourian, Langston Hughes. This song's called The River Runs with the Blues. The river runs with the blues. The river, it runs with the blues. Oh, the river runs with the blues. Oh yeah. And just like a river, I gotta keep running too. You know you can't stop the river, even with stones in its pathway, 'cause it'll find a way around, even if it takes all night and day. Because the blues is like a river, always on the move. You gotta tap your way through and stay in the groove. 'Cause the river runs with the blues. Now, every time you step into a river, you're stepping into something new. Every time you truly hear a blues song being sung, it's always a different blues. Now the blues can be your enemy or your best friend. Either way, they're gonna both be there with you. Through thick and thin. So whether you think of yourself as a Delta queen or hugged in on a raft, the blues can break your heart or make you burst into a laugh. 'Cause the river, I said the river, well it runs with the blues. You know it runs. You know it runs. Yes, it runs. Yes, it runs with the blues.
All right, hold on to that song just a second. TJ Weeler, musician and educator. TJ Weeler has been involved with the Roots and Blues and Barbecue Foundation's Blues in the Schools program since 2007. Mr. Weeler has been interested in blues education since the mid-70s and developed the Hope, Heroes, and Blues Project in 1989. The project spread the message of accepting diversity with Mr. Wheeler's workshops and performances in schools, libraries, reform schools, and nursing homes. Over 500,000 students throughout the country have participated in Hope, Heroes, and Blues. 12:45 today. Just right afternoon, the Missouri Lottery stage, Mr. TJ Weeler will take the stage at the Roots and Blues and Barbecue Music Festival. Check him out and let him know you heard him on Community Radio, KOPN Columbia. I got about a minute for a transition. Can you do just a little bit of piece of that song or something else?
Sure.
Just carry over to the next artist. Ragtime with Joy. Top of the hour, 7 o'clock.